All right, we are here. Welcome. This is what we are calling the Case Closed podcast. I'm here with Hunt Bonneau. My name's Reese Bonneau, and we are with the Bonneau Law Firm. So, we got a lot of fun that's going to be happening on this show. We're going to be making it better as we go. Right now, we're teaching Hunt some of the technical aspects of the entire business, but a lot of y'all have seen his famous series, Lawyer Reacts, on Instagram. So, if you have, then you're going to be excited for this one. We're not only going to talk about law, bunch of law questions, common questions that you guys are asking, but we're also going to go into the fun of life and the Dallas Cowboys and just a bunch of things going on. So, Hunt, how are you?
I'm doing good. This is real fun for me. I'm
Yeah,
excited that we're doing this. I can't wait. I am now looking forward to my Fridays
yeah,
doing this and talking about this stuff. So, my main thing is I get to hang out with you. So, this is
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So we're real excited for this podcast. We're going to keep fleshing it out. For anyone who sees this first episode, we're going to obviously be improving. This is just the troubleshoot episode, so be excited. Hunt's going to be having a complete studio customized for it, and it should be a bunch of fun.
Let's talk
But
about that. That's kind of fun. Setting up the studio audience and the studio itself. I've got the room already here that my wife decorated. It looks awesome. Just got to get the microphone and the other stuff. But one of the funnest things for me is, all right, we're going to set this studio up, and I get to finally talk as much as I want about Longhorn football and all the funny that comes from Donald Trump and Jerry Jones and just whatever rolls off our tongue. It's going to be fun.
yeah, absolutely. There's so much going on with Jerry. I mean, that's a perfect way to start it. Jerry Jones and Donald Trump. I mean, there's not many differences. There's a lot of similarities. Uh, but yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of fun topics on this show. We're going to do more than just law, but I think that's the fun of this is a lot of people don't know much about injuries for one, brain injuries for two, and then what to do when you're hurt, especially if you can't really afford to help yourself, which is a lot of people's situation.
Yeah,
Um,
my favorite thing will be on that is I know we're going to have some fun and talk about different things. I do like the idea that people can message in, ask about lawyer questions if they want, or if they want to talk cowboy football, that's too. Because what we find we've done some different surveys. People are afraid to reach out to an attorney for two reasons. One, they don't think they'll tell them the truth. Two, they think they'll charge them too much. That's the two biggest fears with lawyers. So we're going to eliminate that. You're going to message in for free. It
yeah,
doesn't matter.
heck yeah.
So I hope that service will be fun, and I always enjoy shooting from the hip and talking to people about scenarios. So let's do that. But you want to talk about Jerry Jones?
Well, I want to start off because there's been a few questions about brain injuries, and I know that you are the brain injury expert. So, the first question I've had a lot of people wondering is a lot of these brain injuries and car accidents happen without an open head wound. So, can you explain traumatic brain injury to me and the swelling, concussions, internal bleeding that goes on that people wouldn't know about?
Right. It's actually more common than an open head injury. Open head injury, where somebody's head's cracked open, happens a lot more rare. But the closed head injury, in other words, an injury that happens to a brain without opening up or cracking open the skull, happens so often, most of the time it goes undetected. So let's just talk about terminology at first. Closed head injury. Then there's people that say traumatic brain injury. And then some folks just call it concussion. And then you'll have doctors that call it post-concussion syndrome. And there's lots of terminology that different doctors, different types of doctors will use. Even across the nation, there's an agreement that there's not an agreement, that we're just going to use a bunch of different terms. But what it all comes down to is a definition that the entire medical profession will agree to. And that is that a traumatic brain injury is when there is, and here's the definition, any alteration of normal brain function. Anytime you have a alteration of normal brain function, you've had a change in the normal functioning of a brain, that's an injury. And it's an injury even though the head is still closed, even though there's not blood or a cracked skull. And these types of injury, although subtle, are very profound. They have a huge, profound effect on people. And so, whether it's football players or those that are serving us in the Army, or people that have been in a car wreck or a work site construction, many people can get these injuries, and because you can't see it, it goes undetected. And so I love it. I had a concussion in college. I got this injury. It is permanent, but you learn to cope. And if you get with the right lawyers and the right doctors and you put the things together, you can cope with these, but it's an injury that does stick with you for a long time. I call it the invisible injury. And the worst thing about a traumatic brain injury, the worst thing about it is that it's invisible and nobody else knows you have it. You just get to have all the shame when others see your dysfunction. When sometimes you're not beating on all cylinders, you're either depressed or you can't.
Yeah, that's
straight.
interesting. That makes me think, because especially for people like me, I mean, I've hit my head a lot. Is there how common is it that people are out and they've gotten concussions and they never knew? I mean, if what you're saying is the case, is there people with minor concussions all the time and they're kind of getting brain injuries and just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, statistically, these are statistics. Statistically in America, over 80% of all concussions go undetected in the emergency room. You go into the emergency room after a crash or a football injury or whatever injury, and the emergency room is there to assess emergencies. In other words, keep you from dying, keep you from bleeding to death, whatever it is that's going on. And the traumatic brain injury, the alteration in the brain takes a back seat and goes undetected. So many of the people I represent, their ER record does not say that they suffered a concussion or they're having post-concussion syndrome, because that gets noticed by family, by spouses, by kids, by coworkers in the weeks after the injury. And if they're afraid to say something, many times it goes undetected for even longer than that. So that's the difficulty with that. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, so I mean, I think a few people I know might have had a few concussions and didn't know.
Well, yeah, and that's funny, and it's the funny joke that comes. It's a stench that comes with this injury, is that everybody thinks that their spouse has suffered a brain injury, and so that joke is there, and it is funny, but it's also a battle. It's a daily battle that somebody that suffered that, because you don't want to admit it. Nobody wants to say their brain's been altered.
Yeah, so do you think it should be a goal for people or for you maybe, to raise awareness for brain injuries? We've got a dog in the background, but yeah, maybe awareness for this, because I mean, I don't know much about it, and I know more because I know you, but for people, I mean, it's not common. People are looking out for this. They get a headache, they don't think concussion, they think migraine, take a Advil. I don't know. So maybe this needs to be building awareness of some sort. Is that something we should do?
Yeah, kinda. I think that when somebody has, a subtle brain injury, say they're in a car wreck, they suffered a concussion, they're dazed and confused. For 2 or 3 days, they've got headaches. But it gets a little bit better. Not all the way better, but a little bit better. And they think they've improved. Well, what family and friends start to do is they start getting used to what we call a new normal. They're not the way they were before. They're not terrible, but there's this new normal, and people just start putting up with them. They start putting up with, oh, he's forgetful. Oh, yeah, he gets in a bad mood. He blows his temper sometimes. And they start to accept that person like that, like it's normal, and they don't register that an injury has occurred that can can be coped with. And instead, the person takes on this new normal. And it's shameful sometimes, it's embarrassing. People will call you bad words. Um, so, awareness in that sense, awareness in terms of your inner circle, I think, yes. Making everyone in your space aware, risky, because some people that don't care enough to understand the depths understand that you can overcome it. I've been able to overcome it and become an outstanding uh, attorney. Our
Well, and I just
success.
kind of meant a little bit in the sense of, yes, in your circle, but more so awareness of the problem as a whole, not someone's individual problem. Like maybe not awareness that I have one, but awareness that you should be on the lookout if you ever have any sort of head, like if
Yeah.
you hit your head or even if you don't hit your head, you should be looking for concussion symptoms because I don't think most people even know to look for them.
They don't know to look for them and they don't understand them. Many people believe,
Yeah.
oh, he didn't lose consciousness. He didn't get knocked out, so he's fine. You don't have to lose consciousness to get a brain injury. In
Hmm.
fact, most brain injuries happen without anyone losing consciousness. So, what I'd say is when you're talking about awareness, there are a few people that care enough about you. You know, your parents, if you're in sports when you're little, parents, their parents, if you're going to put your kids in football, you've got to pay attention because those things are going to happen. And I love football, but those things are going to happen. And the awareness of my loved one could get a closed head injury, a brain injury. And if we're not watching it, it could get to where we call that his new normal, when in reality, he's now crippled and he could be much better. He or she could be much better. So I think what in answer to your question, parents have that role, spouses have that role. It's hard to give that role to kids. Kids ought not to be telling their parents, probably, hey, I'm noticing that you're brain damaged. Uh, Although, probably in my case, unfortunately, I probably listened to y'all. And I didn't want anybody else telling me, hey, they don't know who I am. But when my kid said, you're not any fun to be around when you do that. Okay, I'm going to go get help. I want to go get help. I do not want that. And so when you mention awareness, your inner circle, those that love you, be brave enough to listen, and then they be loving enough to say, okay, let's go after the help. This isn't somebody who's just a jerk. This isn't somebody that's just an asshole. This is somebody who has accepted a new normal and has difficulties in certain areas. And if we learn to cope with it, oh man. I mean, Winston Churchill had one, and he was successful. Very, very many people have had these injuries and gone on to successful careers. You just got to deal with it.
Yeah, that's
Am I
very.
preaching too much?
That's definitely.
Maybe I'm
No.
preaching.
I think this is just definitely an interesting topic because unless we were talking about it now because of the job, I've never, other than on the football field specifically, no one really talks about concussions. No one even really thinks about it. I mean, you fall down. I mean, I've seen people fall down or hit their head, and they're not thinking concussion. They check for a bump or they check if their head hurts, And so,
Going back
super.
to that, it's the most overlooked injury. First of all, it's your brain. It's like, okay, you got your heart and your brain, and the most important functions of the body, and it gets overlooked. And very interesting because I deal with about 175 car wrecks a year, 18-wheeler crashes, worksite injuries, things like that. And this injury, my client, my person will come in, and how you doing? Oh, I'm pretty good. They have a hard time grasping it, but it will be their spouse or someone else who's been observing them to say, you know what? I know he's saying he's getting better. And he's better since the day of the crash, but he's not the same person. And those things have to be fleshed out. And because I've suffered the injury, I know how to ask those questions. And we just did it yesterday. We called 8 of our clients that we thought had the concussion because there was either a diagnosis in the ER, they were having the symptoms. And I start going through, and out of those 8, 5 of them at the beginning of the conversation thought they were getting better. And by the end of the conversation, we had their spouse in there and medical records out, recognizing that, no, they're not better. They've just accepted the new normal, and that's the danger. That's the worst thing about the injury, is that nobody knows. And so you're stuck with it. You know, you get cancer, or you get put in a wheelchair, everybody at church brings a potluck over. You know, we're going to pray for you and hug on you and love on you and tell you how sorry we are. If you got a brain injury, they just call you an asshole. So
Yeah, that's definitely super interesting, and it's it's something that like I said, we should talk about more, because most people don't talk about it, but I think this is a good opportunity to shift, because we're talking about brain injuries, so we can talk about Jerry Jones. And
speaking of brain injuries,
speaking of brain injuries, no, but no, seriously though, we're gonna shift over, because there is a lot of concussions in football, and so I know people in high school, college, even elementary school. I don't know if parents are even aware to look for their elementary school kid playing Pee Wee football's concussion. That might be something that people should be more aware of.
Yeah.
But shifting over to that, we've officially started Dallas Cowboys training camp, and it is about day 4, I think, today. And Micah Parsons is still not signed. And when Jerry Jones was asked about it, his response was, well, even if we pay him, he might not be on the field because he gets hurt, and we paid Dak Prescott and he didn't play. And so he took a shot at his 2 best players the first day of training camp. How are we feeling?
You know, I always like to start out conversation like this is go and look at exactly what they said. Today, one of the things that bothers me the most is a left side or a right side, or if it's not politics, it's this side and this side. And people make a comment, and then people make a comment about the comment. And then they imply things, and you really get things bent out of shape if you don't go back and look at what somebody said and then try to focus on what they meant. And so on that, I'm not defending Jerry Jones, but I don't know that he said or intended exactly what everybody's saying. And I'm not defending him. I don't think we're going to win a Super Bowl with Jerry Jones there unless he gets lucky that one of the people, of all the people he replaces, somebody will come in as good as Jimmy Johnson and can put a team together. You're going to have that. You're not going to win a Super Bowl without putting a team together and then somebody to coach it. But back to the comment. He makes the comment, I don't think what he was saying is I shouldn't pay Micah Parsons because he might get hurt. That's not, he did say that, but that's, Micah Parsons responded to it different. What we learned from this is Jerry's just not a great PR guy. He's an outstanding businessman. He has continuously done well in business. None of us can argue with that. We can only admire that. He seems to love his kids, and I love that, and gets them involved in his work. I'm jealous that he goes to work with his kids and that they watch the Cowboy game on the 50-yard line. I'm jealous of that. But from a PR standpoint and ability to put a game together, a team together, I think us Cowboys fans are just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, I think I'm excited this year, which is hard because
let me turn it around on you, Reese. You're always excited about it, and which is unique. I was alive for every Cowboys Super Bowl. I was alive when the first Super Bowl victory happened when we beat Miami. I watched the game on black and white TV when we played Super Bowl 10, lost to the Steelers. And, of course, I remember jumping around on top of the couch and over and under when we beat the Broncos. Was in law school when Troy and Michael Irvin, in fact, I got to throw passes to Michael Irvin. I was in college playing, happened to be out at Valley Ranch. That's a fun story I've never told you. I threw touchdown, just me and Michael Irvin out on the field, and I'm throwing the ball at him. It was awesome. Loved that. He had just gotten signed his rookie year. I've been there. I've seen the Cowboys win. Yet I don't have the faith you have. Where's the faith coming from? I don't know why you think we've got a chance. I just don't have the faith right now. Where's it coming from?
Okay, it's not necessarily faith in a Super Bowl, but like I think you've got to look at the people. People listen to the media, and the media has to make money because everything's about money. And so the media talks about what will make them money. What makes them money? What makes the most money? The Dallas Cowboys. Why? Because Jerry Jones has made the Dallas Cowboys the most valuable franchise in the world. So for these people to pay their kids dinner, they have to talk about Dak Prescott. What's the best way to get interactions? To bash Dak Prescott. So if I want to feed my children, I have to make fun of Dak Prescott on live TV. And so that's what they do. No, it's true. But the point is, he has his issues, but people talk about him like he's no good when he's really one of the best. And he has never had the support that some of the people who are said to be the best have had. For example, Joe Burrow has the 2 best receivers in the league, and he's had them for 4 years, and everybody says he's better. And maybe he is. But Dak has only ever had 1 good receiver at one time. There's never been a time he had 2 really good receivers at the same time, or just a defense. I mean, to start for everything.
On Dak Prescott, and I do have an opinion about this. And my opinion more is about people that are commenting. I mean, all over social media stuff, people making comments. These days, in the days we're living in, everybody has an opinion. You don't have to go to college to get an opinion. You don't have to have experience or success to give an opinion. You don't even have to research what you're saying. You just say it. People don't, 99% of the people that are talking don't have a clue about what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. They don't have a clue. And watching on TV, the TV camera follows the football. It does not follow the 22 players on the field. It does not follow what the coaches are doing. You don't know who's hurt and who's not hurt. You don't know how slippery the ball is. You don't know, and they start judging Dak Prescott on what they see on camera in a minimum amount. They don't know. Statistically, or if you talk to those that are in the know, professionals on this issue, Dak Prescott's a top 10 quarterback. He is. I mean, he just flat isn't. Now, somebody says, a lot more than that. I don't know, maybe 12, 30. I mean, I'm not saying he's the best, but he is not what Dallas Cowboy fans call him. And Tony Romo was a top 10 quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying how high, but I'm just saying we have good quarterbacks. They're good. Are they perfect? No. Do they have a perfect support group? No. But, Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. He's good enough. He's not winning in the playoffs. But there's a lot more that has to do with. I'm not saying he's played perfect in the playoffs. My main point is that folks that are giving comments very rarely have the data. Yeah. They haven't been watching film. They haven't been watching film and watching what plays are called and they just don't know. They don't get it.
Well, my biggest excitement.
What?
My biggest excitement is a few things, but obviously health. Last year we weren't healthy, and that was the biggest reason we weren't any good. But this year we've got Micah back, we've got Dak back, we've got some players, we've got a dog making noise.
How are we going to have a good podcast with that dog barking?
Yeah, we're going to shush him up. Anyways, fans, say hello to the mascot of the podcast, the case closed dog. So anyways, I think we've just, if you've heard about it, we've signed this new receiver, but people almost are forgetting about CeeDee Lamb now that we've signed George Pickens. We have 2, top, like we were talking about, CeeDee's top 3, and that's, but then this other guy's top. The point is we now have 2 weapons on offense, which teams who have had that, Joe Burrow who had that, Jalen Hurts who had that, they go crazy because they've got these weapons who are wide open. Dak has to throw it into these tiny windows, and he still does it. When CeeDee's open, it's easy. Now we have CD, but they can't double him because we have this other guy, and we've got a bunch of threes. So the offense is going to be they have to worry about it. That you can't not worry about these two players. Like
You're the ultimate optimist. You've always been the ultimate optimist. I love that about you. It gets me excited to hear you talking about the Cowboys. But in my view, in all truthfulness, what's great about the NFL is at the beginning of every year, everybody feels like they have a chance. Many times, teams that were thought of as maybe, oh, they're the fifth best or the seventh or eighth best can and have won the Super Bowl. And what's great is you don't know who that team is until around week 8, 9, 10. I mean, eventually, 8, 9, 10, you start saying, okay, the two best teams are the Chiefs and this or whatever it is.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
it was the Cowboys, you knew. That's the great thing is that here we can have. Whereas in college, I mean, we know the Longhorns. They're going to be there. We know Georgia's going to be there. We know Ohio State. You can pick 5 teams. You know who the powerhouses are going to be. So I would say, hey, absolutely, they can win it just like any other team wins it, but it's so complex. It's so beyond, even mine. I'm not saying I know. It's so beyond how important that the coaches and the players and so many players and the complexity of who gets injured and the teamwork and charisma that's going on in the locker room. There's so much going on that most people that are giving their opinion, they're just giving an opinion based on nothing. And so anyway, I appreciate your optimism. I guess I'll see it when I'll believe it when I see it.
With that said, do we think that Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or even Joe Burrow or someone other than Patrick Mahomes this year will finally get their chance at winning a Super Bowl? Because there's a lot of quarterbacks I feel like who have just been this close, and Patrick Mahomes somehow wins it every single time. Do you think someone's going to do it, or is Patrick going to win it again, or is Jalen Hurts are the Eagles the new dynasty that we're going to have to worry about? Because I'd love to see anyone else make it this year. Anyone else.
Yeah,
I'm okay with anyone else.
I know you. I know. I get that. All of those that you mentioned obviously have the talent, but I don't see Mahomes letting up. There's some folks that have what they call the it factor, and to get to the NFL, you've got to have some of it. But he's got Tom Brady-esque around him. He's not done. And so I haven't been in. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't evaluated the Chiefs team or where they are on that, but I don't see Patrick Mahomes passing the baton off. I'm not saying he's going to win it this year. These others, they're 5-star. They're great. They absolutely can perform. I mean, it's not like Mahomes is that much way above everybody else, but he's got the charisma, and right now, I think he's in the clutch. He does it. He in the clutch.
Yeah,
He gets
it's
things
just different.
done.
It's
Will
weird.
those other guys do it? Maybe. I don't have the data behind, nor can I foretell that. But for me, if I had to bet, like you were just, hey, who's going to do it? I mean, nope. Mahomes is doing it like Brady. Just like, oh, okay, we're gonna win this year, and then they do. So pretty cool
Yeah,
guy
so
to
this
have.
is a good.
And he's from Texas.
Oh yeah, Texas Tech. All right, this is a good moment because speaking of Texas Tech, there was an 18-wheeler crash out there, I think a week or two ago, and so that makes me think of this new thing they were talking about with AI. So a question I was asked that someone wanted a lawyer to answer was, do you think AI will make roads safer or worse? Because there's been discussion about self-driving 18-wheelers coming. Is that good or bad? What's your legal angle on that? If there was a robot AI controlling a truck and there's a crash, who's now liable? Is it the AI company? I mean, how is this going to change the future? Especially with like Tesla's autopilot. That's going on. I mean, how's AI going to affect the roads?
Well, AI is certainly coming. It's certainly changing the world, and I believe that one day it's gonna improve safety on the roads. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We just don't know when. If we all knew when Tesla was going to actually get it in gear, we would all bet on that. It's coming. but just implementing it and then fixing all the, all the nooks and crannies that it's going to happen. Here's what I think. I think as they develop AI and the self-driving modules, there are going to be some mistakes. There's going to be some people that get hurt, and that's the part I fear. Because if you have a machine driving something and it starts to hurt someone, it may not stop. Could go into a crowd of people. It's not a human being. Mm-hmm. And so in the early term, I think it could get more dangerous as they're testing these things out. You're going to hear stories. It'll get scary at first because there's going to be, they're going to crash. But I think eventually, and this is my prediction, who knows? I'm not God, I can't tell you for sure, but 20, 25, 35 years down the road, I think driving cars and driving trucks is going to be as safe as air travel. I mean, air travel is about this. I mean, we always are scared a plane's going to crash because you hear all about it, but it is safe. Mm-hmm. Driving a car is so much more dangerous than air travel. But with AI, I think it's just when. It's just when. We're going to get rid of personal injury lawyers. That's something
let's talk about that then. Do you really think AI, I mean, how would AI take over personal injury lawyers? I mean,
they're not going to take over the personal injury lawyers, but they're just going to take over the car crashes. If there's not any car crashes, you're not going to have any car wrecks.
I guess that makes sense. I guess that's a perfect world. Nobody's dying. But do you think there is a world where there's no more crashes because AI?
I hope so. It's funny. I'll go to these personal injury seminars with these personal injury lawyers. It makes me sick. Talking about, oh no, what are we going to do? I'm going to rejoice. People aren't getting hurt. People aren't getting brain injuries. I want it coming. God will find me another place to make money and support my family. I just don't know when. So how do you predict? How do I start gradually doing something else? Well, I don't think I ever will. I know too much about this. I think I will probably be able to go into the AI generation. And when it starts crashing, I'm going to be in the perfect position to help those people too. Yeah. But I welcome safety. Any technological advances that help our healthcare system and the mayhem that's on the road as a result of these dangerous truck drivers, I want that. So,
have you seen currently now any suits or cases with the Tesla autopilot? Because there's been a few videos of Tesla autopilot crashes going around.
We're studying those very carefully. My law firm plans to be pioneers in the AI litigation when it results in crashes and mayhem to people because of a product that's put on the road too soon. Mm-hmm. And that's what I see here is a product that's put on the road too soon. Stock market, Wall Street, people that really, really want these companies like Tesla that they've invested in to hurry and get out there.
Yeah.
And so you've got the pressure of money and the pressure of Wall Street, pressuring, Tesla and the other. There's other trucking companies that are already implementing this. Pressuring the hurry and get it out there, and it may not be ready. Mm-hmm. Now there's a danger there, and they shouldn't be doing that. But at the time when it's been tested safely, and we know that they're safe out on the road, there's been enough safety done in the labs, then I'm ready for it, and I want it. I'm nervous that people are going to push it out for financial reasons, and so our law firm's prepared. We're representing already folks that have gotten injured as a result of AI that was put out on the road too soon. So that's where we're headed, and we're proud to be able to do that, and I'm excited about it.
All right, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to ask you a fun question to end this off, and maybe you know an answer, maybe you don't, but what do you think is, not on a standpoint of, here, let me ask this better. Okay, what was your most fun case to ever work on? What was Hunt Bonneau's most fun car crash case in the sense of the most unique?
I just finished it. It was because of the settlement, I can tell you the amount that it settled for, but I can't tell you the parties. Tell you a little bit about it. I represented a lady that I just fell in love with, and she lost her husband because a construction company chose not to even establish safety rules in an area where men are working and have their attention down working, and then trucks that are backing up without reverse alarms. And they did this over and over and over until eventually the inevitable happened, and they squashed him. I mean, literally from head to toe under the tires, both the back tires of it, just squashed him, killed him. He even suffered. He knew he was about to die. He didn't die instantly until, it got to a certain level. So it was a terrible, terrible deal. What I liked about it so much was helping his widow, because they didn't even tell her that he died. She found out 3 days later, and then they denied that it was their fault. My favorite thing is when there's been a wrong done, and then somebody tries to say it's not their fault, being able to help that person. And I think what led to the big verdict, the $7.25 million that we got, was not because, it was because they ran him over, but it was because they didn't, in the beginning, implement safety. And then after it was done, they thought, she's not going to fight us. And so those types of things, and the reason I like it, as a Christian, the Good Samaritan stories, there's other people that walk by and don't help the guy. But Jesus said there was this one guy that had compassion. He actually cared about, his heart went out to that guy, and he starts to help him. We had a lady that had lost her husband. He'd gotten squashed, and they were telling him, we're not helping. We're not even helping with the funeral expenses. In fact, we're not even going to come over to your door and give you a hug after we killed you. And being able to take her from that to where she now never has to work again, and her kids and grandkids don't ever have to work again, and getting that large of an amount of money for somebody, that kind of justice fires me up, not because of the money, but because I was actually allowed to do a lot about what the Good Samaritan does based on compassion, able to make a change. So that was my favorite case. 30 years it took me to get to a level where I can handle that one, and now can handle those types of cases. But that's my very favorite.
Wow. That, I almost feel like they should give us 77 million.
Well, and hang on. And I can't get into everything, but there may be some people saying 7. All you got was 7. It should have been 77. Well, there's some other facts in there.
Yeah.
Facts that I'm not allowed to reveal. People I'm not allowed to identify. So yes, sometimes that number goes left and right based on whether somebody, based on what's going on out there. I'll tell you, if you knew, you'd know this was a great settlement.
And I wasn't saying it was, but that was awesome. I mean, that's a great story. That's a great little clip that I will put on Instagram right there. So that was a good one. I think overall this was a lot of fun. I like the way we flushed this out. I liked that story a lot.
Hey, do we need any commercials? Do we put commercials in this thing every once in a while? Should I?
Yeah, let's see.
Can I be the spokesperson? Can I be the spokesperson for, I don't know, Viagra or something?
We can get some sponsors. We can have some fun. And I want everyone who's watching to, if you have questions or anything that you always want us to talk about, you can always leave that in the comments, and we'll make sure that Hunt can...
Free legal advice. When your mom and dad told you nothing was free, well, most of that's true. But in this case, free.
Heck yeah. Well, remember, this is called the Case Closed Podcast. If you guys like that name, then let us know, because we think we're going to stick with it.
Let's close the case. Case closed. Does that mean we give them the final answer on something? Case closed. Can we say Dak Prescott is not going to win the Super Bowl? Case closed. Arch Manning is going to be a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner, 2-time national champion, greatest quarterback ever to play college football. Who's second? Vince Young. So
Vince Young.
that's it. That's it.
Case closed. Well, all
Case
right, this
closed.
was fun. I'm excited for these episodes, and once again, we're gonna be improving. We're gonna get some cool podcast set up in the background. We're gonna have sound effects. We're gonna have a lot of cool stuff as this podcast builds. But right now, we're just flushing it out so that you guys can start giving us ideas. But yeah, this is for episode 1. We're going to have once a week. We're going to be releasing these every Sunday. So on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere like that, you guys can come tune in every Sunday. And then we'll have our clips on the Bonneau Law Firm Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube as well. For those who want to
One plug. If you would like your Bonneau Law Firm pen, or if you would like your Bonneau Law Firm mug, so that you can go around telling people you know Hunt and Reese Bonneau. We'll just mail this out to you. So you just send in a question, and we're just giving away good free stuff. That's what we do.
Sounds good. Well, all right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the first episode, and we will be back next Sunday. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the Spotify, and follow the Instagram for your daily highlights as well.
Thanks, Reese.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.